Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Last time I shared with you books about owls, and last one I shared was by John and Jean George. And Jean did 59 illustrations for this book. Lovely illustrations. Her training, though, was in science and in writing at university. But that eye of an artist can be developed where you're paying attention to things and details, and that shows up in her writing. Well, Jean George went on to write books throughout her life. Over 100 different titles were published by her. And I want to show you a series of 13 books, which in fact starts with the great horned owl. It's called The Moon of the Owls, but the series is called The 13 Moons. Jean explains that in any given year, there are either 13 full moons or 13 new moons. So that's where she gets her idea. And she also wants to show that as the seasons change, different things happen for particular species in different times of the year. There's a repeating cycle of things that happen. And because she was a scientist and because she'd done research work in natural settings, she'd spent time in college and doing research in different areas as part of her degree work. She takes us to 13 different places. So we see a different place and an animal that is associated with that place. And I think these are lovely books and would like you to know about them. So, Moon of the Owls. This takes place in the Catskill Mountains of New York, which was also the setting for one of her novels. I'll share that novel with you soon. The next is The Moon of the Bears, and that takes place down in the Great Smoky Mountains in the forest of Tennessee. And then she's got a book about the salamanders. And the salamanders have a one particular month when they're particularly active, and that's the month of March. And she places this in Michigan, in the woods of Michigan. The next book is the Chickarees, and that takes place in Montana. Different treescape there, and but as you can tell from the cover, the tree is an important part of the home life of the Chickarees. That's the Bitterroot River Valley that she uses as the location for this book. Now for the monarch butterfly and its month, she uses many locations because she follows that epic migration journey that the monarch butterfly goes through. And so that's in that book. The Fox Pups, that takes place in Pennsylvania, in the Cumberland Valley. Wild Pigs takes place in the Sonora desert of Arizona, and a totally different landscape, though there are these amazing trees there called the saguaro, and we'll look at that tree in a little more detail at another point. The mountain lines, the Pacific Northwest is the location for this novel. Study is maybe a better. She makes it a story, but it's all based on observation of activities and things that go on, and that's what I find so delightful about them. I got these books a number of years ago, and I liked them so well that I took and read each one onto a tape and sent that file to the audio file to my grandchildren so that they could learn about these amazing animals and the situation they're in. This is the Moon of the Deer, and it takes place along a tidal marsh on the coast of Connecticut. Ha! The alligator. Gene had spent quite a bit of time researching down in the Everglades, and I figured something would come up about it. A number of our other books use the Everglades as a location as well. So, Moon of the Alligators. Well, she's done a lot of things about the wolves. You may be familiar with her book called Julie of the Wolves. It was a novel, and there were actually 2 sequels to that novel, and it dealt with a young woman and wolves, wolf pack in Alaska. The winter bird, sort of a nondescript bird, but to read about its territory and its life was fascinating. Takes place in a suburban meadowland in Ohio. And the last book in the series, back around now to the end of the year, is dealing with the mole. And its environment is, well, virtually total darkness underground. And this is set in Kansas in the Great Plains. Now, Gene had done a series called The 13 Moons about 50 some years ago, and I had a copy of the only one of the 13 books, the one about the bears, and I assumed at first that what was in this book would have been just placed into that book and they had new illustrations. But no, she took and edited it. That's what writers do. They want to make it better each time, and they making changes. Maybe new information has come out and little subtle things that she's thought about, and so she makes changes from the text in these 2 series that she produced or were printed, and I only hope that they will be continued to be printed, because they're a fascinating insight into the variety of life, often involving trees, but in some cases trees play a very, very small part. But so, thanks for joining me, and until next time, bye for now.